Marysville. Thanks for tuning into Charger Chat. My name is Gabby Garcia.
And my name is Eric James.
And today we're interviewing our school officer, Officer Wood.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show today. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for our school?
Sure. Basically, I'm assigned to the patrol division for the Marysville Police Department. I've been a police officer for over 19 years, part of our SWAT team for 12 years. And so basically, I am your school resource officer. I help you with any type of criminal activity that might take place if you're the victim of. I am the person that helps you out with that, get a police report started if you want to do that. Any type of criminal activity I investigate on our campus here. And yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell.
Awesome.
So you said you were a part of the SWAT team. What was that like?
Pretty intense. Intensity with a lot of boredom. So for example, training, a lot of training would go on, and then you get a call out, and then you'd all hurry up, and then you'd wait because the situation would last for a long time, 6 hours, 5 hours oftentimes. So a lot of high intensity training, you know.
Have you, or like, what type of calls do you get called to, like big, intense ones?
On the SWAT team?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically what happens is when the SWAT team gets called, it's because the patrol officers can't deal with that situation due to, it could be a number of things, hostages, or the suspect is extremely violent, or there's a big threat to the community. And sometimes patrol can't sit there and deal with that one situation and still help out at the rest of the city. So that's when we get called in, so yeah.
How many calls did you get?
Oh man, that's a good question. I'm not sure how many we got total, but we also, I could tell you that I served close to 80 search warrants, high-risk felony search warrants, where we went to people's homes or houses where felons were hiding out, or drug warrants, and did raids on homes and that kind of thing.
80,
So,
that's a lot.
yeah.
So with all that training, how long did it take to become a police officer and join the SWAT for school,
Yeah.
I guess?
Well, to be a police officer, high school education is mandatory. I also have a 2-year degree in criminal justice.
Oh.
So I got hired on at age 22. I just decided to test and see what would happen, and I got chosen. And then once I was selected, and that process is a written, a physical, psychological evaluation, a polygraph examination. And then once you're selected, you go to the academy, and back then it was 3 months, and now it's close to 5 months now.
Oh, okay.
So then once you're done with the academy, then you go with a field training officer for 3 months, and you're graded on, I think, close to 60 different skill sets, everything from driving to communicating with the public to officer safety to report writing. So throughout your whole shift, there's someone there grading you the entire time with you. Then after your 3 months is up, then you are released on your own, and you're on a year of probation.
Oh,
So
wow.
once you pass the year of probation, then to apply for SWAT, you have to be a police officer for a minimum of 3 years.
And then do you keep going through training once you apply for SWAT, or is it mainly the process before?
Oh yeah, no, there's training is every month, mandatory training.
Okay.
A minimum one time a month. So it could be, you know, practicing your skills as a sniper or on the entry team and that kind of thing. So yeah.
So there's different types of like SWAT people. There's like the snipers, and there's like the guys who barge in.
Yeah, so everybody on a SWAT team can pretty much fill each other's position. The one exception would be the sniper position, which I had an opportunity to be a part of, because that specific rifle or the tool is designed specifically for that person, because the sights only fit that certain person, but anybody could fill in on the SWAT team at any position. But some people are naturally better at certain things, like the lead guy with the shield, like that's a certain skill sets that take place, and that particular person would practice those over and over, and he liked it and he was a natural at it, so he got to stay in that position. And
Nice.
you know, so yeah.
So what was it like being like a sniper for the SWAT team?
Pretty boring actually, because you sit there, you gather intel, you go out in the field before the SWAT team does, and then you set up, and you're basically just gathering intelligence, watching what's going on at the house, making sure there's not any additional threats to the community or to the officers who are going to arrive on scene. It's a big responsibility, and it's something I took very seriously But you know, you have a job to do, and there's a lot of pressure.
So did you have to do any like stakeouts at a certain spot?
Not necessarily a certain spot, but all over the city. Prior to us serving a search warrant at the house, you got to gather intelligence. What kind of, is there firearms going in and out of the house? Is the house fortified? Is there dogs on the guard dogs on the property? Is there kids? You know, that's a big thing. We don't want kids to get injured or innocent people.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to gather that kind of intelligence. Yeah.
With being a sniper, did you call your own shots, or did you like follow through with whoever was leading it?
Yeah, that's a good question actually, because we never wait. If we see that someone's life is in danger, imminent danger, or the life of someone else, like so, if someone had a hostage and they were pointing the gun at the hostage, we don't wait for someone to give us permission. Our job as police officers is the same. We don't wait for someone to tell us it's okay to shoot or not shoot. We have to make that call.
Okay.
You know, that judgment call. And that's the way it should be, because you're the one seeing it live in real time. And if you have an opportunity to save a life, you have to be ready to be able to do that. You can't wait for it to get back to the command post.
Yeah,
kind of thing,
okay.
So was the transition between SWAT to like regular patrolman, was it like a big change, or was it just like an easy one?
It was the easy one because first and foremost, you're a police officer, and it wasn't a full-time SWAT team, so you were always on patrol first, and then you get the SWAT call out. So it was just easy going back and forth. You know, it was just a natural transition. Yeah.
So what was it like getting your police car or like patrol car? Was it like a great feeling, or?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. What was really cool is when you get on your own, because when you go for your driver's test, you got that instructor sitting in the passenger seat. So he's just grading you on driving, right? Well, as a police officer, that's one skill set. You got 59 others that you're being graded on, so it's a lot of pressure, you know? You got to find addresses, you know, you got to do all that. So when I got on my own, it was really cool because I didn't have this guy grading me on every single thing that I was doing, you know? And so, it was a great feeling to have your own patrol car, set it up how you want, you know, and you kind of felt like you made it, you know, a little bit. It was a good accomplishment.
So what's the craziest like situation you've ever been in, like funny wise?
Oh man, that's a tough one. You know, I don't know that there's one incident in particular that really stands out funny wise. Well, I guess there was one when I created a fake memo from our chief and put it in my supervisor's box, making it mandatory that he show up at this retirement party to a guy he didn't even know but that worked for the city. So he showed up and ended up going late to that retirement party, and so the only seats available were in the front, and the guy that was retiring was going around around the room specifically to the people in the front seat, thanking them and saying, hey, we've known each other for so many years, it's been great working with you. And then he got to my sergeant and he had never really known him before, so he didn't know what to say, so he awkwardly like skipped over him, you know. And then my supervisor came back and was like, it was also a potluck and you're supposed to bring something for the potluck, and he showed up with nothing, so it was really awkward for him, you know. And I had forgotten I placed that in his box until it was too late. He was already at this retirement party for this city worker, and then I realized I forgot to tell him not to show up. And so anyway, chief called me in the office and said that was an awesome prank. It was one of the funniest things. So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so well, we're gonna transition to our first segment, and this actually has goofy officers just like playing around and stuff. So here we go.
No. Give me. This is today's itinerary. Come here. This is our itinerary. Wait. It says here we gotta clean up the streets, make sure nobody's on them at all.
Got it.
Let a real police officer handle this one.
What? No, please, can I go, please?
Don't
Please,
make
please.
a scene. Hey, you guys are supposed to be in school. What are you doing here?
You guys are under arrest.
Are you serious? You just ruined this whole thing. I had this under control.
I don't even go here.
All right, well, I don't want any trouble, but sorry to bother you. What's up here? Where'd they go? What's going on? You can't do this. Just did.
All right, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, like I said, we're here with Officer Woods. So let's talk a little bit about our community and what happens around Marysville. In your opinion, what do you think Marysville teens struggle with the most in more of a criminal sense, I guess?
Probably drugs and alcohol
Drugs and
would be the
alcohol.
top, yeah. I think peer pressure is pretty high, and our society is almost like created a culture where at parties there's going to be alcohol and drugs there. So I would say that's probably the number one thing that we deal with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything you do to like try to tell them to like how to prevent this stuff?
I mean, there's been so many, everybody knows it's not good to do, right? But ultimately, it's up to the individual person, and I think it's a result of their upbringing. And I think what I see personally is a lot of kids trying to cope with the pain of something that they've experienced in their life. And being a teenager is not easy, you know what I mean? It's hard nowadays, and there's a lot of pressure put on teenagers to perform and get good grades, and you gotta go to college, you gotta be a productive member of society, and you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? There's all this pressure that society alone puts on you. Now you add the fact of broken families or broken relationships, and a lot of kids don't know how to cope with the pain that they're dealing with. And so I see a lot of kids turning to drugs and alcohol as a way to kind of cope and try to numb that pain. So
Do you think that starts like early on in like an age gap,
Yeah.
I guess?
Yeah, I think so. I think from what I've seen, and I had a chance, I was also, I worked undercover narcotics. I was an undercover narcotics detective for our department. And what I'm curious about people, so I'd always ask my confidential informants that I used with me to buy drugs and introduce me to drug dealers, how did you get started in drugs? And it was 99% of the time from some type of childhood tragedy. Maybe they lost a parent, maybe they were taken advantage of by someone that they trusted, maybe they were beaten, maybe some kind of loss or some kind of trauma to them is what everybody had in common.
Okay.
So.
Do you think that there needs to be more awareness of what happens when you start doing it? Do you think like there's not enough awareness about it?
I think the awareness is there. We know, and you guys are smart, you guys know that drugs are not a good decision. People know that. I think what needs to be out there is how do we teach people to cope with tragedy and loss and suffering and pain?
Okay.
I think that conflict management needs to be a part of that. I see a lot of kids who don't handle conflict very well. And I think that is ultimately where we need to start, to let them know, hey, listen, it's okay to feel pain. It's okay to feel sadness. That's part of being a human. We're born with those emotions, and those develop, and they're there for a reason, and it's okay. It's okay to be sad. You don't have to numb it. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be human. And I think our culture says, don't cry, and boys aren't supposed to cry, for sure. That's still there. That stigma is still there. And I think if we can just reach out and just remember we're human, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel pain. It is normal for tragedy to happen to you. I think if we can teach that, the acceptance that not everything is going to go perfect in my life, people would start to kind of relax a little bit and say, hey, I'm normal. Instead of saying, why me?
Yeah.
Why not you? What makes you different than someone else? Nothing. You can all experience pain, whether it be a loss of a pet or a loved one or that kind of thing. So I think as a society, if we started teaching kids earlier that the world is tough.
Yeah.
You're going to experience a lot of pain, and that's okay. We're here for you. I think that would go far.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back on like the partying and stuff. How many of parties have you guys busted?
Oh, man, over 19 years, too many, you know. and you know what the thing is? It's like, it's not necessarily just the partying, but a lot of kids want to leave after partying and being, I'm okay. I'm not too drunk. And what that is, it's kind of selfish because you're putting the community in danger and other people.
For sure.
And that's the other aspect of the party thing. It's not that every party something goes sideways. That's not it. However, if you play a fire long enough, something is bound and determined to happen to someone, whether it be a female passed out that gets taken advantage of, or somebody gets in a car and causes a collision and kills someone else, or hurts himself, or you know, that kind of thing. Or
Especially with teenagers now, like driving at 16, and
yeah,
it's just dangerous.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So obviously some drugs have been legalized in our state. Do you think that ever since that happened that there has been an increase in drug use in teenagers, or has it always been happening just
No.
illegally, obviously?
You know, I, as far as marijuana goes, from my own point of view and my perception, it's the same. I haven't noticed a big increase, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I have noticed an increase, of course, with the vape pens and the dabs and that kind of thing. With the marijuana oil, of course, there's been an increased use of that, but marijuana has almost been a part of our culture, you know, since I was in high school. And from my point of view and perception, I haven't seen a rise in that. To me, it's leveled off. Yeah, to be honest with you, yeah.
Sweet. So I noticed that. So I'm gonna go back to that patrol car thing. I noticed that there's some like SUV patrol cars and like some special patrol cars. Is there
Yeah.
like a certain class you have to be to get those, or
No, not at all. But our cars are set up to just rotate out on a certain mileage. So I'm getting a new car next year, and I'll get one of the SUVs. So it's just whenever your car reaches a certain amount of mileage. So I mean, we try to keep them on the road as much as possible because it's expensive to replace the patrol car. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm not gonna lie. I want an SUV. It's better in the snow. It's just it's bigger. You know, I'm 6'2", so I can stretch out a little bit in that
yeah.
more. So yeah.
With the, sorry, what kind of inspired you to become a police officer? Was there any personal moment that you were like, this would be something for me? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's a really good question, and it starts with my childhood. I used to hate the police, to be honest with you. I was listening to NWA before the movie came out and all that kind of stuff. You know, that was my attitude. So basically, growing up, I saw and learned that the police chief in my town was stealing drugs out of the evidence room and selling them. And then I'd watch him race up and down in his IROC car at, you know, Mach 1 and just disobeying the speed limit. And my respect for the police, there was none. I didn't trust them. I didn't want to be around them. However, I met this sheriff's deputy called, his name was Deputy Sanders, and he works for Snohomish County Sheriff's Department. I met him at a football game. I started talking to him. He showed up, and man, he was really cool. And he was just really chill, and everything, you could hear the honesty in him. And I got to thinking, you know, maybe the police aren't so bad. Maybe, you know, but I still thought it's just one guy. I didn't know what I wanted to be. Growing up, I wasn't quite sure. I tried firefighting. It really wasn't for me. It wasn't exciting enough. So I decided, hey, after high school, I'm going to pop into the criminal justice program at Everett Community College. And I took a patrol procedures class. And the instructor was the former chief of police, Kathy Atwood. And she came up to me after class and said, Jeremy, listen, you're one of my best students. I really appreciate having you in class. Would you like to go for a police ride-along with me sometime? I said, absolutely. So I went on this ride-along down in Everett. And we're chasing bad guys around. We're going through alleys, running through red lights, you know, with our strobes going. We're helping people out. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do, you know. And it kind of opened my eyes up to, hey, not everybody in law enforcement was bad. My perception was skewed based on my limited view that I had. Hey, look, where do you guys get your image of police from? Maybe me, a lot of Hollywood and what you see in the movies and on TV, right? So, you know, I get it. You know, so I went from hating the police, not trusting them, to being like doing it because I want to make a difference too. Because I don't. I had a couple other negative experiences, but I wanted to be an officer that could relate to people and treat people differently than how I was treated, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Have you ever?
No,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Have you ever had a like police stop where the person was just going insane, saying that like they were upset that you stopped them and stuff?
Yeah, I have. I've had people tell me that, oh, you stopped me because of the color of my skin, or yell at me, why'd you pull me over, you know, kind of thing. I've heard it all. Nothing really phases me on that. It's easy to deal with. You just focus on the action and why you pulled them over. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna be transitioning to our next segment called Triggered. So that's why I asked the question.
Oh.
I can feel like this is not going to be a good day. Are you freaking kidding me? Again?
I don't know. I might not be able to go through that.
That is like the cutest shirt ever.
Are you saying all my other shirts look ugly?
What? No. I like all your shirts. This one's really cute too.
What the heck?
Watch out next time. Maybe it won't bump into you.
Oh. Okay. Sorry.
All right, welcome back. So I feel like you get asked this question a lot, just being a police officer. Obviously, in the news recently, there have been a lot of speculations for like police brutality and things that are going on within the workplace, I guess. So what is like, how do you feel as a police officer when people are like, all cops are bad, they don't do any good, they shouldn't be cops, etc.?
Well, I guess my feeling about it is don't stop there if that's really what your attitude is, because that would be the same as categorizing all teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's teachers who have acted inappropriately towards female students and also have lost their temper and have been caught on video. So should we say as a society all teachers are bad?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how about don't stop there? Keep going. Airline pilots, you know, there's some airline pilots that flew commercially that were intoxicated, that put passengers' lives in danger. Do we say all pilots, you know what I mean, are dangerous? I get it. It's easy to see and it's easy to point fingers. I've watched some of the videos, and I have to agree with some of the public. Like there is times that police brutality does happen, no doubt about it. I mean, let's not turn a blind eye to it. Let's be real about it. However, a lot of the videos that I see is officers acting correctly, but society saying, whoa, why are they doing that? They don't understand the tactics and the training and having to subdue a violent offender, because you have to have the upper hand. So
Yeah.
I see both sides of it, you know. I see cops that act inappropriately. Absolutely. I don't agree with it. They should be fired, terminated, jailed, whatever, you know. So I just think it's wise for us as a society to say, hey, look, it's the individual. Let's not categorize. Stereotype, yeah.
All right, so that was unfortunately was a short amount of time for a question, but we're actually going to cut to our next segment called Trampoline.
Look, Sabrina, I got new shoes, new trampoline shoes apparently. Are you sure they look normal, Maria? They're normal until you press this button. Watch!
What are they doing?
What are you guys doing? What's up? Why are you jumping?
Obviously, have my new trampoline shoes. There's no other way.
Why don't you just go to a trampoline park?
Why don't you?
Oh, I guess that's an option.
You guys are weird. I'm getting out of here.
All right, so welcome back. So is there anything else you want to add to what we've been talking about?
I'll say this: after 19 years of being a police officer, I think Marysville is like one of the best communities to grow up in and work in and that kind of thing. And I think what you have going on here at Getcher High School is just so positive and so cool to be a part of. So thank you guys so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
It
no
really means a lot
Thank
to
you
me.
for coming.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
talking to us about it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all we have time for. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Oh yeah, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anytime, guys. Yeah.